Welcome back to Banter with the Boys, episode 4. And first up, let's take a look at some of the highlights from this week's sporting action. We'll start with rugby. Inspired by Leonardo DiCaprio's preferred dating age gap, Ireland smashed France 38-17 in the Six Nations rugby opener. Cricket news, the Betway SA20 cricket competition reaches a crescendo of qualification confusion this week, with no one quite sure of who's playing who or are they qualified, but the crowd is mainly focused on trying to catch a six with the ball skills of David Miller shaving himself before a night out. Meanwhile, as predicted, the Proteas men's side are struggling in New Zealand. From the get-go, the fourth team have made worse choices than Chris Morris on a night out in Potchefstroom, ill-advisedly opting to bowl first and allowing the Black Caps to amass 511 in their first innings. I've actually come up with a new strategy, guys, for the Proteas. When it comes to this series, they should take a leaf out of the government's playbook and deny everything. What? A test series in New Zealand? No, we weren't there. Prove it, bro. Find one eyewitness who watched that series on TV. Think about it. If a test match is played in the middle of the night and no one bothered to stay up to watch, did the Proteas really lose? Finally, South African football's man of the moment is definitely Bafana keeper and captain courageous Ronwen Williams, who single-handedly, and sometimes with both hands, helped Bafana do what the Irish team has never done: win a quarter-final. Williams saved a record 4 Cabo Verde penalty shootout attempts, taking his team to their first AFCON semi-final since the year 2000. South Africans are now hoping Williams can also save the Rhino, the Rand, as well as Eskom. Cricket South Africa have even asked him to go to New Zealand to save the Proteas. To which he said, no man guys, there's some things even I can't say. And we're back with our illustrious panel. To my right, ex-Springbok Jean de Villiers, and to my left, ex-bouncer Chris Morris. Welcome guys, how are you?
It's not ex, it's former.
Former.
Because I'm still a Springbok, just a former Springbok.
And I'm moonlighting as a bouncer, so...
You actually, how long did you work as a bouncer?
Well, it depends. I used to work every Thursday and Tuesday. Only worked on nights.
In Pretoria?
Yeah, I started with the T. That was my main thing. But slowly I had to slow down after I realized that...
Drop zone.
Drop zone, yeah.
Drop zone.
Drop zone, yeah, with the T. And I realized that the kids coming out of school were a lot taller than me. So
was that early development for your future sledging game? Did you get to practice as a bouncer?
Also, yeah, I did. I mean, also when the guys started calling me, well, man, it was time to stop, eh?
Yeah.
Is that where you decided to be a fast bowler?
Yeah, because I could run away fast from the oaks on Murumi. So.
Yeah, and your bouncers.
Yeah, well, that's where I developed my bouncer.
I'm picking up what you're putting down, former Springbok Jean de Villiers. We hear the hallowed ground, the hallowed turf of Newlands. Doesn't it look magnificent right behind us? The pitch being prepared for one of the SA20 playoffs. Not quite sure how the playoff system works, Jean de Villiers.
It's not a playoff, it's a qualifier.
Qualifier. What's the difference?
I love your pink flamingo shirt.
Thank you so much.
How many flamingo shirts do you have?
A number.
What's the number?
2.
Well, it's funny you say that, because number 2 is playing number 1 tonight in the qualifier.
Did you make your debut here against England?
I did, Nick. There's a hole that I actually tried to dig myself into at fine leg. Now, how many guys can you say, apart from the guys in New Zealand now, they say they got 100 on test debut? I got 100 on test debut.
Not for 100.
No, 1 for 142.
Sure.
So I got 100 on debut.
Did you get abused by the opposition that day?
I tell you what surprised me the most is how much abuse the English players abuse the umpires. Because in South Africa, you're very conservative, you respect the umpire, but the amount of abuse that was hurled at Alim Dar by Stuart Broad was quite funny. And we actually spoke about it the other day. He was complaining about Alim Dar, telling him he was running on the wicket. He's like, get on with the guy, mate. I've played cricket for 20 years. Fuck me, I've never run on the wicket, blah, blah, blah. So that for me was the biggest eye-opener. Bad. I got more abuse from the crowd. It was quite funny. The Barmy Army, they're quite fun. And they let you know what they think of you, which is good.
Speaking of that, when you guys lost to Japan, and people let you know what they thought of you?
Yeah, but that was the worst week of my life.
Really?
Really. The abuse and I think in a way also it makes you realize what the game means to the South African public and to your supporters. You know, I always say you pick up the newspaper, and that's the unfortunate state of South Africa. You pick up the newspaper and you look at the front page. You know, those that still reads the newspaper, and you know it's sad stuff on the front page. It's, disturbing stuff. It's, all the bad stuff going on in South Africa. And then you flip it around and you look at the sports page, and that puts a smile on your face. And that's kind of the life we have in South Africa. So you get joy out of that. If you take that away, if you take that joy away from people, they get angry.
What's left?
Yeah.
What's left after that?
Exactly.
Japan was the Proteas Holland.
No, because we only lost to them once.
Different formats, John.
Yeah.
Different formats. But for me, like you're saying, for me, it's the expectation that hurts the people.
Yeah.
Like I always make the joke with the Proteas, and I can say it because I was one. It was the hope that kills you.
Yeah.
You think, shit, we've got the team. We've got the ability. On our day, we can beat anybody. And then we get to the World Cup and...
Speaking of expectations, we're moving into the final week of SA20. If you guys were going to make a bet, who are you expecting to take this one?
Oh, Royals.
Still going in the
Royals
Royals.
forever.
They're sliding a little bit. Down to
part of the
position.
plan. It's part of the
Is
plan.
that why you're wearing pink today?
Nice.
And you wear blue.
Pink and blue.
Yeah,
and
pink
you
and blue.
wear blue for the derby.
Yeah, it's for the pair.
No, but remember
Yeah,
the Royals
pink.
are blue and pink. So
What's
I
up?
like
Flamingos
Royals
are indigenous to Paul Rock.
I am. My bets would probably be. It's difficult to look past that Super Giants team. Even the other day at the Wanderers, they were 50 for 5 or whatever, or 20 for 3 or something silly like that. And John Smuts and Vian Mulder came in and got a 109 run partnership, got them to 200 plus. And yes, the JSK guys, wounded Buffalo, are very dangerous, especially with their captain Faf du Plessis, a man for the big occasion, came through and got the job done. So I said 3 weeks ago that whoever ends fourth is going to win the tournament, which is JSK. I do feel that they've got too many issues in the middle order,
Yeah.
but it would be an unbelievable
What
story.
happened to the star-studded My Cape Town lineup? The local fans. My son, I don't know if he'll ever come to a cricket match again.
Don't live in Cape Town.
Oh.
And that's the cats. Listen, it's like, in my opinion,
It swallows you in.
it swallows you in and doesn't spit out. The best teams are the teams that are the tightest.
Yeah.
And so let's look at Paul. The Paul Royals, there's nothing to do in Paul but spend time with your teammates.
Hello.
You know,
Hello.
Sorry, they live in Pearl Valley. There's nothing to do. Paul's
No,
only a separate
it's
city.
nice living in.
He denies it. But
Paul's beautiful.
so they spend a lot of time together. There's Kearsey, there's a bond. Durban, not much else to do. Spend time together. PE, not much. Centurion or Pretoria is spending time together. Whereas Cape Town
That's what's happening.
potentially could be a little bit fractured because
Right.
you're in Cape
You're
Town.
basically saying there's nothing to do in South Africa except Cape Town.
That's
And
why we're
spend-
the worst
no,
team.
But spend time together. That's what teams are
Bonding.
about.
Togetherness.
Bonding,
Social cohesion.
getting your kit off. And
You're really
admiring.
promoting South Africa to the world.
They could have been
Really?
on Sandy Bay together.
Come to South Africa and tell me I'm wrong. But no, that's my personal opinion. I think and it sounds silly, but there's just too much to do in Cape Town.
Yeah.
Like, when families come over, you're spending time away from each other, whereas the other teams you're forcing, but you are forced to spend time together because families will spend more time together.
We said that when I was playing at West Province and the Stormers, guys would get contracted, come to Cape Town, and then we used to say, Cape Town swallows them in because there's, you get distracted,
Correct. And that's what I mean. You need to
and
understand.
I get that.
We also have another Kebeka legend this week in footballing circles. Bafana captain and goalkeeper Ronwen Williams
Ron winners. That's what they all
is
are.
being asked to save everything, including the country.
Yes,
I mean, how magnificent was that?
I saw Seven Gezi posted something and said, "Dear Durex South Africa, you have to do a campaign with Ronwen Williams."
That's just the end, having like a little glove. You get the shape and then just a glove at the end. Of the Durex.
We were thinking of going for marriage counselling, but why not just call up Ronwen? Do you think we can go the whole way in AFCON?
Yes, we can. I'm a believer now.
It's time for the long tail. In a minute, we'll be joined by the crouching dragon himself, Ashwell Prince. But for now, let's have a quick visit around the stadium with Chris Morris for another edition of Fans in the Stands.
Hi everybody, Chris here. We're at the qualifier here in Cape Town. Fans in the stands for Banter with the Boys, sponsored by Betway. We're going to have a chat to a few people and see what they think of tonight's game against the Sunrisers Eastern Cape, and the Durban Super Giants. Who are you supporting today?
Durban, Super Giants,
Durban Super Giants. Any specific reason for that?
because I'm from there.
You're from Durban. Okay, cool. And so if you would have put money on someone to score the highest amount of runs today, who would it be?
I don't know much of the players. Quinton's in Durban, eh?
Quinton's in Durban Super Giants, 100%. Okay.
Quinton's going to call them out.
Cool. And then, okay, so in a fight, who would win, a gorilla or a grizzly bear?
A gorilla.
Guys, who are you supporting today?
Eastern Cape, Sunrise for sure.
Same. Any reason for that?
School and Grahamstown.
School in Grahamstown, okay.
Sorry, what was the question?
What school did you go to?
Johannesburg, St. John.
Okay. I'm surprised you didn't tell us that. So, guys, if you guys were putting money on a bet today and who's going to take the most amount of wickets today, who would it be?
Sure, outside bet, Junior Dada.
Junior Dada, see if he plays.
No idea.
And who's the best cricketer you've ever seen in your life?
I don't think Chris Morris.
This man knows his cricket. Give me anybody.
De Villiers?
Oh, Ivy de Villiers. You like Ivy? Okay, got you.
There are kids watching this, so...
No, not this.
Okay, well, but they van die refs is mal in hulle kop.
That's what we're talking about. There goes your cap. Have a good evening. Make sure you catch that one-handed catch. All right. Just so.
Guys, our legendary guest today on the long tail is renowned for his canny, stroke-making, superb footwork, calm-headed determination, dogged defiance, and dash of daring. Please welcome former 9th best Test batsman in the world, Port Elizabeth's Prince of Patience, the Galvindale GOAT, Ashwell, never say die, Prince. Woo!
We love getting the left-handers.
Don't we?
Yeah.
3 out of 4. Ash, how are you?
I'm good, brother.
It's wonderful to have you here. I thought we would just kick things off with match fixing. Let's just dive straight in. Can you tell us about how your son Daniel was recently involved in an under 13 match fixing incident with me?
I can tell you. So, my son, right, middle one, I've got 3 boys. Eldest one, dead keen on his cricket. Middle one started at the same time as him, but he's 2 years younger. And then, because he always played with the big boys, he was always lagging behind. And then he's like, nah, I'm not interested in this game. Field all day, then go and score a duck. I'm giving up this cricket. Said to Danny, what can I do to get you to play again? And Danny is like, fucking hell, this is okay. Let me think about that one. Said, get me a box of chocolates every time I play again, and I'll play. So I wasn't at the game. Melissa, my wife, was there. The news came back to me. I was out of town. So she says, Danny's actually thinking about playing again. I said, what? Okay, that's quite cool. It's nice if he wants to play again, you know. What's been the turnaround? What's the change of mind all about? She said, nah, Nick and his son has been speaking to him, trying to convince him. Said, when's it going to take? And he said, nah, get a box of chocolates, whatever the case may be, and he'll play. And I was like, right, we have to have a chat.
This is how it starts.
This is how this shit starts, right?
You play for the love of the game, Daniel. And incentives.
And cash, not chocolates. they dangle the jackets. They dangle the honey trap in front of you, my son, and you've got to be able to identify these things. This is how it starts.
Let's talk about your career. So you come up in 94, post 94. You make your debut for Eastern Province pretty quickly. Play one game in the B side, and
Did you have Benton and Edges?
I was in the squad. I just missed.
Orange stumps.
But first season I was in the squad. Next season became
Standing back. Okay, gotcha.
what's your experience being from the hood, being a player of colour at that time, walking into sort of the culture of a white dressing room? How do you get through that?
It's about that guy's skill versus my skill. And however he arrived at the bowling crease in terms of, like you say, his pathway, how he got there, his development, and however I arrived at the batting crease, that's irrelevant, right? Because when you walk out onto the middle of a pitch, whether it be Lords or the West Indies or wherever you're touring, nobody cares about how you got there. It's like he's going to do his job and I'm going to do my job. And nobody cares actually whether you had this as a youngster, you had that, or you didn't have these luxuries or whatever the case may be. So it only ever comes down to bowlers will be judged on taking wickets, batters will be judged on scoring runs. And for me, that clarity has always been there. So regardless of what I had, it's about the contest.
Your mentality you talk about, you and Albie Morkel have got you share exactly the same stat as my first game against you and my first game against Albie Morkel. We played against you in PE, and I played against Albie Morkel. We played against the Titans in Benoni, and both of you did exactly the same thing after I bowled my first ball to you.
Which was?
I bowled my first ball to you, and I was always a guy, as you remember, Ash. I mean, we didn't swear at each other ever on the field. I always used to engage with the batter. I made eye contact straight away. And me being a young punk, up-and-coming, fast-ish bowler, my first ball I've bowled to you, you've blocked it straight back at me, and I've locked at you straight away like I'm in the contest. And you and Albie said exactly the same thing to me on cue. You both blocked the ball. You looked at me and said, "What the fuck are you looking at?" Sorry, Wong. Here we go. In. And that's obviously fire.
This mild-mannered guy.
Exactly. But it's the same thing as you. It fires you up as well. And I mean, Ash and I, yes, I mean, I've looked a lot of people in my life, but Ash is one of them. He's up there. But we always had great battles because we always knew Ash was the test player. Ash was the guy you wanted to get at. And if in that Warriors side, they were a little bit fragile in the middle there. You had Colin Ingram, who was playing very good cricket. You had a young Kelly Smuts. You had George John Smuts. But we knew if we got Asher,
He's the mainstay.
he was the main guy. And that's the mentality he talks about. We always went for the big dog, and that's why I tried to fluke him as much as I could.
But it's also, it's also like what I love about your story. There's that great story, and to shorten it, about this, two brothers had an alcoholic dad, and the one was like also became an alcoholic, and he was like, why are you alcoholic? No, my dad was alcoholic, and the other one hated alcoholics, didn't drink at all. Why don't you know? Because my dad was alcoholic. So it's kind of the same kind of thing where you can either use your circumstances as an excuse or as motivation. And that's a choice you make. And it just feels, when you talk about your pathway and how you eventually got to where you are today, it's because you chose to use as motivation to get out of that situation, and now you can provide different opportunities for your kids.
Yeah, absolutely. And that's what it's all about. I mean, as kids also, you don't know, your circumstances. You're not politically aware. I'm talking about as a youngster, 12, 13, when you're trying to just enjoy the sport. I mean, you spoke before about whatever sport it is you play, you're just doing it to enjoy yourself, I must say that obviously been throughout my sporting career very competitive, always want to win. Like you go up against these guys, they were quite a formidable team. Hardis, Maury, they won the championship when
KG,
they won the first class championship, proper bowling attack. So, but you want to go out and you want to win every time you play. It doesn't matter who you
Even if you're playing paddle left-handed against your wife.
Yeah. Well, she said I have to have a handicap, so I have to play left-handed. It's like, okay,
fun.
We'll do that.
Easy winner.
If I play right-handed, I can control it, so I can be gentle.
Yeah.
If I play left-handed, I have less control, so I might whack one or two at you,
Ash, are you left-handed or right-handed?
I'm right-handed.
Right-handed, but bad at left-handed. So, and golf?
Right-handed.
Okay, that's
So it's a little bit...
Lot of similarities, eh?
Yeah. One stage it was golf right-handed, but putted left-handed because it felt a bit... Yeah, maybe because of the
County cricket, let's talk about that. You go to the Lancashire leagues in the north of England as quite a young man, and in the later part of your career, you actually end your career at top scoring for Lancs for 3 seasons in a row, averaging 60-odd. That great partnership with Alvira, another Galvindale great. How influential was that time in terms of your development to the UK?
Yeah, I think it was massive. I think when you leave home for the first time, I mean, obviously, before then I'd been away with South Africa under 19s, but they are short tours, like maybe 3-4 weeks. This is the first time kind of away from home as a youngster, trying to forge a career as a professional, and I think most of us do it as youngsters. So that's kind of 6 months away from home. And I would say that I was probably very unskilled in terms of domestics when I left home for the first time.
Tell us about your first night. Your first night in the.
So I arrived in England. The guy that I was staying with, he was out of town on work. So he was accommodating me for the 6 months. He was a single guy who lived by himself, but he worked away. And the person who picked me up from the airport was big mates with him. But he just collected me at the airport, drove me straight to the guy's house, and plunked me down there. It's like, right, this is where you're staying. And obviously, Graham Lee, the guy I was living with, he wasn't there. And it was like, okay, I need some food.
What now?
what now? So then, I had to start learning how to cook and clean and do washing and all that type of stuff.
Is he the guy that said, "What do you want for your tea?"
Oh, yes. So when he came back a couple of nights later, sort of around dinner time, after work, he said, "What do you want for your tea, mate?" And
Yeah.
that was a bit Australian, huh? No, it wasn't quite Lancashire. Anyway, what do you want for your tea, mate? I said, "No, I'm okay. I don't want tea. I'm not a tea drinker." So obviously in Lancashire, your tea is dinner. So he goes into the kitchen, starts preparing dinner, what. Cooks his meal, sits down, starts chowing. I'm thinking to myself, are you all right there, brother? What about me? Are you all right there, bro? You carry on,
As long as you don't catch him.
Yeah. And then obviously later on, I got more accustomed to the Lancashire traditions and lingo and the rest, and obviously learned that tea means my tea, my meal, my dinner.
Players you idolized, all three of you, as young men, cricket and rugby.
For me, it straight up was Curtly Ambrose. Absolutely loved him. West Indian that absolutely loved the fact that he tried to hurt people, but he bowled the speed a lot, and just the way he went about things, his pants were under his armpits, like just everything he did. I was
Did you
like,
watch our first test back against the Windies? When was that?
Barbados, 91.
91. When he destroyed us in the last.
we had half a green shirt on, remember? But no, he was the one, and then obviously it's the older you get, the more you look at other players, and then Alan Donald was. It's White Lightning, and then Sean Pollock. Those are my three guys that I really looked up to, and rugby players probably, you know, if you look at the guys like Joel Stransky, kick the winning kick, and then when you really realize what rugby is.
Did you play rugby?
Henry Honeyball. I played 2 games of rugby. My parents don't really know about them because I wasn't allowed to play rugby. I batted a 14B fullback because I could kick an unbelievable spiral. Was goalkeeper in football at primary school, so I could read a game. So I played fullback. Long story short, quiet first off against Kez. Oak makes a break. I make the tackle, and as I go for the clean out, I get cleaned out. And I lay there for 2 seconds going, what are you doing on this field?
My mom was right.
What am I doing on this field? Went straight to the coach. I said, "Sir, I'm going to go play hockey. Lavish. Cool, sweet." And then my second one was Boomspan for Victoria Boys Eye, which is the 11s against Uffies. Then we won, didn't we? Of course we did.
Yeah.
Anyway, moving on.
Brian Lara for me.
Nice.
Yeah, I think as a child, as a youngster, growing up watching Brian Lara,
Brian Charles.
the way he picked the bat up, the flair with which he played, and then actually getting a chance to play against him, played a few test matches against him. Still, I was just admiring him standing in the covers there. At one stage, we played against Brian Lara in Trinidad, right? It was a flat pitch, but still. I think it was Makaya bowling. We had point, backward point, cover, extra cover. We had 5 in the offside field, and we just like, we'll hang it outside off. And he just kept peppering it through the covers. Like, you couldn't have enough fielders.
Yeah.
You couldn't have enough fielders for this guy.
Alan Donald once said to me about Brian Lara. I asked him, I said, who was better, Brian Lara or Sachin? He said, Sachin Tendulkar, unbelievable cricketer, like seriously good, probably one of the greatest to ever do it, if not the greatest. He said, but Brian Lara would take a game away from you in a session. He said, I'd rather bowl to Sachin than bowl to Brian Lara. He says, that's how, and as Ash was saying, you put as many fielders as you want, you would have found the gap. He says he was just, and if the Lightning says it, then you believe it.
Yeah, absolutely. And then actually, I got a funny story about rugby as well. Just like Maury, I was never a rugby player, but then because I did track and field as well as a youngster at school. I did a bit of track and field sprinting, so they knew I had a bit of pace, right? So, but I played soccer from young. So the teacher came to me and said, "We want you to play rugby." Like, I don't play rugby, I play football. No, please just try it out once or twice. I said, "Okay, I'll play." Where do you want to play? They say. I was like, I don't know any positions, right? So I didn't know the positions. I was like, nah, I mean, I'm a footballer. I'm a forward. So I'm a forward. I want to be a forward. So they put me in the pack. Now I'm a forward, right? Like, I must go in a scrum. Like, what the hell's going on? I'm like, nah, bro. That is like, I got into one scrum and whatever crashed there. Actually, the ball was loose there on top of the ball, holding on. Nah, I don't. No rules. Come up, it's their ball. I said, what do you mean it's their ball? I've got the fucking ball. Anyway, holding on.
I also played one game of rugby, Jean de Villiers,
Also forward.
for the Waldorf school. And the teacher said, guys, today we're going to play rugby, but we're not going to play positions as such.
Yes.
Just want you to go out there,
Just express yourself.
follow your heart.
Yes.
How did your heart get followed?
When you made your test debut, it's 2002, is that correct?
On the 22nd of February.
The 22,
Very good.
0222,
2002.
the Wanderers.
That's a wonder.
The Wanderers. A lot of noise in those days about the quota system. And did it tinge the experience for you?
I think a lot more noise was made some time after that. At the time, it all happened so quickly, right? 2-3 days before the first test, Justin Ontong pulls a hamstring. And I'll never forget, I was walking right underneath the building where we're sitting now, coming out of a meeting. And the convener of selectors at the time, Rushdie Majid, calls me and says, you got to get to the Wanderers as quickly as possible. You play, there's a day before the test. You're playing in the first test tomorrow. So it's like, there was no time to think about anything. I got there, I missed the team meeting because the flight was late in the evening. Got there, team meeting, Ghulam Raja, the manager at the time, had put a box with all my clothes in. Next morning, down to the ground, met everyone in the huddle and, onto the pitch. So that was it. But the thing is that, like I say, at the time, in terms of build up to the test match, there wasn't any time to think about anything like, for in my mind, I just scored 97 against these guys, and I was comfortable that I could play against them. Obviously, it's a different stage when you come into a test match, whatever. Then in the first test, in the first innings, they scored 600 and plenty. And in the first innings, we scored, bundled out for 130 or something like that. I made 49 was the highest score in the first innings. So in my mind, it's like, I've been in the South African A team for some time. I got the 90, I got the highest score in the first test. So, at the time, it didn't cross my mind. But later on, it became a talking point. Is what it is.
The Aussies, because fast forward a little bit, we get to, was it a couple of series against them where you became Warnie's bunny?
I did.
Was it 11 times?
You got me out a lot of times.
11.
I would say that if you go on to YouTube and you Google worst LBW ever, that you might true story. If you Google that, 1 or 2 videos might come up where I'm being given out. So I was given out once or twice. It probably wasn't out. In those days, we didn't have GRS. The man with the crooked finger, he gave me a couple of
What made it so difficult facing him? What was the experience like?
I think Shane Warne. I think for a left-hander, when you're up against a quality leg spinner who is able to hit the rough consistently, that's your biggest challenge as a left-hander batsman. I played against some of the, if you look back now, still some of the greatest all-time test players against and in our team.
I mean, that series against India comes to mind. Sachin, Dravid, Zahir at his prime.
Lakshman.
If you compare the 2 batting lineups, and you mentioned some of the names, that Sehwag, Wasim Jaffer, Rahul Dravid, Tendulkar, Lakshman, Ganguly. That's a 6 for them, right? And then for us, we had Graham Smith, A.B. de Villiers.
Alvira.
No, before
Oh, not
before
yet,
him. Graham Smith, Herschel Gibbs. A.B. was in the middle order. Graham Smith, Herschel Gibbs, Amla, Callis, de Villiers, and Prince.
Eek.
And now I'm sitting on this is a Betway thing, right? If you went to Betway and said, who's going to score the most runs in a 3-test match series, or those two batting lineups, I think you would have had good odds if you said Ashwell Prince.
In 2020, a lot of these narratives came out about the experience of being a player of colour, getting abused racially in Australia. Was it Perth?
Yeah.
And
Bloody Aussies.
Chicken abuse there, eh?
various things happen, some bigger, some micro things. But over time, do you have the feeling of having to suppress it all? And then in 2020, it comes out? Or how did you manage all of those experiences?
Look, I mean, it's obviously been a journey. So, you know, you walked a walk that very few people have walked in life. There was always the sort of feeling that you needed to prove that your people or other people, non-white people in the country, could play the game. The actual history of the sport runs deep in our communities, years back. And I think sometimes there's this perception that at Unity in 91 or 92, that's when the sport was introduced to our communities.
Now you started playing.
And now you started playing cricket, you know. And that's not
You're not allowed to play cricket.
yeah, you're now allowed to play the game, and that's not the case. I mean, our club was there for a long time. There's clubs in Cape Town that's nearly 100 years old. The game was played in the Eastern Cape, rural Eastern Cape, you know, over 100 years ago, and I think sometimes not many people in the country realize that. So, but this is now a point where we have unity. We all are allowed to play with and against each other. And I think there was always a sense of having to prove that actually we can play the game at this level. When it comes to talent, and we all different religions as we sit here, and we all have different beliefs. And for me, it's like the man upstairs don't say, actually, we'll sprinkle a little bit more talent on you guys because you have that skin tone, and we'll sprinkle less of a talent on you guys because you have that skin tone. No, talent is distributed equally throughout the world.
Welcome back to Fans in the Stands with Banter for the Boys by Betway. Quick question to you.
Yeah.
How many runs do you think DSG are going to win by tonight?
They're not winning tonight, boy. No chance. We're going all the way, back to back.
Back to back. All right. And if you were to put some money in place, a bet on who's going to take the most wickets tonight, who would it be?
Dan Morrell, top of the standings at the minute. He's going again tonight.
When you win it? No magazine. No magazine. No magazine. My last question. Who's the best looking cricketer you've ever seen?
Aswhell Amla.
Very good answer. He is a dreamy, dreamy man. All right, guys. Make sure when the catch comes, stick that hand out. Betway catch at 2 million. Do your job. All right, gotcha. Have a good evening, guys. Cool, and that's that for episode 4. Fans in the Stands. Banter with the Boys, sponsored by Betway on Smash Sports. Hope everyone has a great day. I think Sunrise are going to go back to back. They're going to win tonight. Get that final and take it home.
Sri Lanka, you're appointed first captain of colour for South Africa's tour. It doesn't start off easy. 624 partnership. Who was that? Sangha.
Good drop to catch.
Sangha and
Jaiwadna.
the drop catcher was Noble wicket, I think.
Oh, you bowled it.
Steyn. I think Steyn got a no ball wicket. Anyway, we won the toss and we batted first, as you do in the subcontinent. And sadly, we got bundled out for like 170.
Shaminda Vas.
Yeah, I think
Really?
in the past,
Really?
he took a few. Murli always takes a few. Actually,
Dilhara
22.
Fernando.
Faviz Maharuf, he took a few. Maharuf, yeah, he took a few in the first innings. So 174, you're up against it. So now comes the moment, right? I've been made the captain. Buff was injured, the commissioner was injured, Callis was also injured, so he was the vice captain, regular vice captain. So both of them unavailable. So I was made captain for the tour. Obviously a proud moment. I mean, as the man sitting here will know, captaining your country is a great privilege and honor. And it was the same for me. So now we got bundled out for 174. And I'm leading out the team. And the stadium announcer, on every session, he would announce, South African captain leading out, his team. And we go out, get 2 wickets quickly in a hurry. And it's like, yes, we in this, guys, we're in this. Next session, the guy announces again, South African captain leading out his team. Mahela and Sangakkara follows them out. And it seemed like for 3 days he was saying the same thing. South African captain leading out his team. Mahela and Sangakkara following him out. It was,
What was that partnership? 620 odd.
it was massive.
And that's the world's hottest ground, I believe.
Oh, well,
I believe the heat comes from your feet. It's the hottest stadium in the world.
But I mean, like, we didn't score enough runs in the first test, and actually, they won quite comfortably. But actually, the second test was a lot closer, and nearly they won by 1 wicket in the end, and we nearly saved the series. Had we taken the last wicket, would have been 1-1. It was only 2 test matches, so they won by 1. They won 2-0 in the end, but it was quite tight.
You've spoken about this experience of loneliness and not feeling valued in the team environment, that almost there was a veneer of unity at one point, that the public would have perceived it because it was simply about winning, whereas actually underneath that there was a disharmony. Talk a bit about that.
Look, I think part of the loneliness, I would say, came in when my very first test match, I think, was the very first test match that ICC decided that this was after all the Hansigate thing, where you wouldn't have roommates. So when you came into a room, it would only be you. So if anything was left behind in the room, it's your room. You're responsible for anything, right? So then at provincial level, we always had roommates. At international level, you'd have your own room. So my first night there, alone, nobody to talk to about test cricket or anything like that, right? So that was part of the thing. And then, I think, even though things weren't verbalized, I think you got the sense sometimes that I explained to you coming into the test match that I didn't have much time to think about it. Night before, fly. Next morning, tracksuit, team huddle, onto the pitch, and away you go. And sort of few games in, you get the sense that maybe there was a feeling underlying somewhere that the position should have gone to another person, or other people would have been better options. And then you go through your career, and quite often you get that feeling. And I suppose where the loneliness comes in is that the only way that you can sort of dispel any thoughts that you are there because of skin color is that you kind of take on a mindset of, well, I suppose it's going to have to be me against the world, so you become insulated, and I don't necessarily think that that is the best mindset or state to be in, because you then don't connect with teammates. And so if there was a disconnect with teammates, I wouldn't say that it's necessarily from the team. If there's a perception within the country, within the media that maybe this guy wasn't the guy, or it should have been somebody else, your self-defense kicks in. Is like, okay, well, I've got something to prove here. And for me to be able to prove that, I need to know who I am, where I am, and what I have to do all the time. So when you go out on the pitch, it's a single-minded approach that you're taking on, because the only way I can prove to my teammates that I deserve to be here, that I can prove to South Africa that I deserve to be here, the only way that I can prove to the world that coloured and black people in this country can play this game at this level to the standard that is required, is that I have to go and do the things that is acceptable from a number 5 and number 6 test batsman. I have to have a certain average. I have to score hundreds. I have to prove that when the team is in trouble, that I can dig the team out of trouble, that's what I have to do. And so my mindset is only that. And I'm not connecting with people in my environment. You know what I'm saying? Because everything is about, I have to go and prove this. And sometimes when I look back at my career, I can definitely say that I didn't enjoy even the hundreds, even the great moments. You didn't enjoy that as a sense of, you didn't celebrate it as a sense of enjoyment. You celebrated from a sense of relief. I just remember having the thought that I cannot end my test career with an average of 16, having played 6 matches, a higher score, 49, because the feeling or the general thought would be like, he shouldn't have been there because he was there because of color. And also, we told you so, these guys can't do this business. It's not necessarily your teammates that create this environment. It's just the country is coming from one place and moving to another place. And with the start of that movement, you happen to be in the team at that time. And I don't necessarily know whether every other black or colored player takes on that responsibility or they just enjoy the ride. They just enjoy the journey. It's like, I'm not going to be bothered with taking on all of that, I just want to be here and play. But for me, it was like, thinking of the Vincent Barnes, because as a kid also, I used to watch that cricket. That was my bread and butter, going to watch the provincial cricket in apartheid. I knew the players. I knew what they were capable of. They didn't have the opportunity that I now had. And I know the quality that they had, that a lot of the players in those days would definitely have been able to play international cricket, right? Because of the standard that they played the game at. And it was like, for me, it felt like a responsibility of, you got to go and prove that those guys would have been good enough if circumstances in the country was different. And so you play the game with that kind of on your shoulders.
And 66 test matches later, with an average of 41, you prove that. You prove that you are an extraordinary test batsman, but still not even the best batsman in your own family. Still feel that way?
Yeah. My brother was talented. A lot more easier on the eye to watch than myself.
Heard a better cover drive, your gram.
I think I got buff covered. On the offside, I got buff covered.
2-minute quick fire. Best bowler you've ever faced?
Shane Warne.
Best sledge you've ever heard?
The best sledge I ever heard. Now, the Aussies, they could be quite aggressive, right? But the best and funniest sledge to aim at myself was from my mate, the late Andrew Simons. It was at the MCG, and it was the funniest thing. It's like the Aussies always came hard with the verbals, aggressive. And he said, mate, he was in the gully, slip cordon, he's in the gully. He said, mate, because I had the bowed legs, right? You'll be able to catch a pig in the hallway. Like, the pig is going to run through your legs.
Best teammate on the Joel?
Gibbs.
Gibbs. He's the first non-de Villiers we've had in that category. Worst teammate to share a room with?
Gibbs. We didn't share a room, fortunately.
Never.
Well,
In the early days?
in the early days,
Yeah.
Worst.
Telemarcus. Roger Telemarcus.
A mess.
Nah,
Got a dodgy stummy. He farts a lot. That's Daryl Cullen.
Messiest night out of your career? Or greatest celebration?
greatest celebration in our career was winning that test match in Birmingham where the commissioner scored 150. It was the first test series we won in Australia, in England, after our comeback. And that was quite a large night. Neil Mackenzie was phenomenal as a fines chairman. Phenomenal.
The goat
as a fines chairman.
of fines.
He is the goat.
Oh,
Neil Mack. It was a proper
the
night.
greatest.
It was a proper night.
Ash, that's all we got time for. It's been a privilege having you with us. You've done your country proud, your family, most of all the people of Galvindale Cricket Club. A rich tradition. And anything you guys want to add?
My favourite cricketer from Galvindale is Ethan O'Reilly.
Ethan O'Reilly.
O'Reilly.
Got the Duke stone dead in the team and they never gave him out.
Shocker de Silva. Sorry.
We'll be back this weekend, everybody, with Speaking of goats, the champ, Drickus, Du Plessis, the back.